Okay.
Fantastic, thank you. Welcome everybody to November's meeting of the full council of Rayne Parish Council. Welcome to our two attendees this evening and to anyone that is watching us on our YouTube link this evening. Just a reminder to everybody that is attending the meeting tonight. Obviously, we are having a live recording and it is being live streamed onto the internet. So please bear that in mind, please. Sarah, apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies for absence from Councillor Mike Eldred.
Thank you. And who do we have in attendance for tonight's meeting?
So from the Parish Council, we have Anne Hooks, Tom Agata, Russell Davis, Celia Merton, Karen Spencer, Simon Tibbets, Paul Willis, Trevor Rippingale and Grace Meehan. And we've also got our District Councillor, Paul Eusden, and Councillor Graham Butland from the County Council. And we have a couple of members of the public that I believe are here for planning applications.
Lovely, thank you for that. And do we have any declarations of interest for tonight's meeting, please? Councillor Agata?
My company provides the IT services to the council, which is pecuniary interest, and I have a non-pecuniary interest in 20/096.1 because Little Common Cottage is a customer of mine.
Thank you. And Councillor Davis?
Non-pecuniary interest in item 20/095, ECC Minerals and Waste.
Thank you. Councillor Merton?
My usual. I can't give you the numbers because I can't get the agenda up on my other device, so I can't tell you what number it is. But it's the waste and minerals, I think it is.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Sarah.
That's okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No, that's great, thank you. Can we consider the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 5th of October as a true account of the meeting that happened that evening? If there's no queries, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. And Councillor Willis, second. Thank you. Okay, we're now moving to the public forum. And so both of our members of the public are here. You're both here for planning applications. So what would be fantastic is if you can tell us something about your planning application, why you want to do it. The councillors will have the opportunity to ask you any questions if they so desire. What I request is that after you've done your part in the public forum is to actually leave the meeting, and if you want to carry on watching the meeting during later on to see when we deliberate about the planning application, you can watch it on our YouTube link, which was posted on our Facebook page earlier on today. So if I go in order, Mrs. Woodhead, would you like to go first, and you can tell us about your planning application? As I assume that's what you're here for. Sorry. We can't hear you. You seem to be unmuted, but I can't hear you. Has that worked? No.
I can't hear anything.
Do we suggest logging out and logging back in again, Tom? Might that help?
If they try leaving the meeting and then rejoining.
Yeah. Can we try and do that?
Thank you. When you rejoin, if you can make sure you enable the microphone on your computer.
Technology. Hopefully they'll join quite quickly. If not, we'll move on to the next applicant. All right. Is that better? No.
Chair, I could suggest they use the chat box, perhaps, if they can see the chat box, that they could put what they want to say in there.
Yes.
Is that a compromise?
I'm happy to go with that.
The other option is they could phone in.
Yeah, do you want to try and phone in? You may have to disconnect from the video call, though, to be able to phone in as well, I think. Is that better?
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, hello. Sorry about that technology.
It's a brunt of us all. So, yes, please tell us about your planning application.
Okay, so we're putting planning to extend our family home. We just wanted to give some background information to this, really, just that you've got a better picture of what's been going on for us as a family. We completed our family in April this year with Alia, who you've just seen in the video chat.
I can't hear a word.
Alia's been born with... can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear.
Try to turn your volume up.
Chair, can I just ask which planning application is this in reference to, please?
14 Foundry Way.
14 Foundry Way, yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
No worries.
Who can hear and not hear the applicant?
I can hear.
I can hear.
I can hear.
Okay.
Perfect.
I can't.
I'll just speak a little bit louder just in case then. So, yes, the application, our reasoning behind that was Alia was born with a birth defect known as laryngomalacia. So this was very unexpected, had a healthy pregnancy. So as a result of that, she's on a NG feed tube. So we have a machine that she's kind of reliant on for her feed. We have a garage full of feeding equipment and syringes. So we're in desperate need of space. Desperate need of a separate room for Alia during the night, as we have to feed her every 3 hours. A feed can take anything up to 90 minutes. And all the kind of the storage of the equipment's a bit of an issue for us. So we just wanted to kind of give some background information so that you didn't read the application and perhaps think, oh, you know, I don't know, a builder, somebody, you know, it's just, we're part of this community. We're just a normal family. And unfortunately, you know, we've got these feeding issues with Alia, and we just want to extend our family home, really, just to meet her needs.
Okay. I mean, we can only base our deliberations on planning
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, so...
No, we get that completely. We just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves,
just put our points
across, our reasoning why you know, we've exhausted other avenues such as moving house. I'm a full-time carer now. I'm not going to be going back to work. And due to COVID, it's a real struggle to even be able to sell your property at the moment. So we just kind of wanted to give a bit of background information, really, and share what's going on for us as a family, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So anything you wanted to add?
I think you've pretty much covered it. Desperate need of space. We've got 2 other children as well. But unfortunately, because of the issues with Alia, they need separate sleeping accommodation, because
we feed Alia every 3 hours.
So yeah, I'm sort of having to take time off work as well to sort of help.
So financially, it's a struggle, isn't it, to even think about moving house? Not that we've found any joy with that, but we're happy to answer any questions or offer any other kind of information that might be helpful. I don't know.
The one question I have basically
Sure.
basically on the plans and what have you.
Yeah.
Will you still have enough off-road car parking if you don't have your garage anymore?
Absolutely. So
absolutely.
we actually went back on previous plans on the street and saw that had been an issue for a neighbour of ours. And our views of it are that actually, because our boundary, we can park where our back garden is.
To the garage.
We've got that whole boundary to park on. So if we have a visitor, they park along our back fence post, if that makes sense, that whole strip along there.
There's room for 3 cars there.
So we wouldn't,
without even obstructing the neighbours. So
yes, we wouldn't be taking up any more sort of off-street parking out the front or anything. It wouldn't kind of impact the rest of the street in terms of taking up more space outside.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, do any of you have any questions regarding this planning application? No, they're all quiet. So,
okay.
what I should say, Rayne Parish Council, we are a consultee to planning applications.
Sure.
We are not the decision makers. We
No,
just
we
get
understand that.
whether we support. It'll often will either be a support, an object, or a no comment. Often we just say no comment if there's nothing particularly to comment about, because it's an okay application. So obviously we'll deliberate this later on in our meeting, and obviously you're more than welcome to watch that on our YouTube.
Absolutely. No, we're part of your community. We just wanted to kind of share the reasoning behind it. That was all, really. And
it's always go on.
Sorry. The other point we also wanted to kind of stress is that the builders have assured us that they can build, from the outside,
from the inside out.
Like there wouldn't be an issue with obstructing anyone's car park wise or access. We've already thought ahead with that as well. So
that's much appreciated. Thank you.
It was in fact our neighbour that suggested that.
So just to make that clear.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic, and thank you for taking the time out this evening to attend the meetings. It's always nice to put a face to the name. So, right, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Woodhead.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, and now can we go to Mrs. Canning? And you're the applicant, I believe, for Essex House, Fairy Hall Lane. Hello. No, I must admit, I don't have any questions about this planning application. Does any other councillor?
No.
No. I think you got off quite lightly there. As I said before, we're a consultee. So BDC obviously is the decision maker. But again, obviously we will discuss your planning application later on in our meeting, and you're more than welcome to watch on the YouTube link. So thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you. Bye-bye. Fantastic. Okay, can we go on to our district councillor, Councillor Eusden? Do you want to enlighten us with loads of information?
Well, I don't know about loads, but there's just a few things, most of which is COVID related, so I'll get those out of the way first. Today I received a leaflet from Essex County Council about COVID, which I believe some of you may have already had or have yet to receive. Unfortunately, of course, everything in it is now wrong. So it's been superseded by the Prime Minister's announcements at the weekend. So we've asked for the deliveries to stop, but we're not sure how far through the programme they are. So it's probably an indicator of how the situation is rapidly evolving, and so before you can get the information out, it's changed. So that's a bit unfortunate, but you know, you can kind of understand why people are confused when they're getting a leaflet through their door saying it's okay, the pubs are still open, when on Sunday, I think.
And especially probably the amount of money that was spent on printing these leaflets as well.
Yeah, and of course paying people to deliver them, which is unfortunate, but you know, it seems to be a nature of this virus. So, you know, I can only say that we have spotted that and asked for it to stop.
Okay.
And on that same subject, really, of the leisure centres and the swimming pools and things are getting back to normal and swimming lessons starting and all that kind of thing. And now they've got to close again from Thursday. So all the alterations and the arrangements have been put on stop for now. As this is also true of BDC staff returning to council offices to work rather than working at home. So that's all got to be reversed again. So very frustrating, but as soon as I get more information, I will of course share with you. Hopefully the last thing on COVID will be really just a reminder of the COVID information email I sent you towards the end of last week, I think Friday, from Essex County Council, giving all the graphs and the charts.
Yeah.
Just really to remind you that that's going to come every week. And as I get it, I believe I'm going to get it on Thursdays. I will forward it straight away so that you can share it. And I'm assuming that everybody realised you have to click on the various links to get the charts up to see what they're saying on the email, which I have to hold my hand up and say, I missed one, and then ask for a copy, which was a bit embarrassing, but there you are. That's life, isn't it? So hopefully that's the end of the COVID information. So I'll move on to a couple of things that are not COVID. The GridServe electric forecourt is due to open this month and I believe is almost ready and looks quite impressive. If I had an electric car, I would certainly go and have a look. But
it does look good.
I don't think my petrol car would appreciate being plugged in too much. But there you are. So that's looking very impressive. And the work on the iConstruct building on Springwood, as we've had the groundbreaking ceremony, which I've forwarded an email late this evening about. So that work is getting underway. So that's also good and will create jobs in the future as soon as it's built. On a slightly different, well, a completely different note, but also kind of building, is the saga of Finchinfield Bridge, which I know doesn't affect you necessarily directly, but an awful lot of us do travel across that bridge. And I heard from the parish council meeting there that the parish council has changed somewhat, and they've now requested that the bridge is left alone and that they don't repair it, saying that it's too much of a part of the village and so it should be left alone to settle into the mud gently in old age. And their suggestion is that it's closed to traffic and a new temporary crossing is put over the pond, which to me, I mean, thankfully I'm not involved apart from the fact that I live quite near. It just seems to me that the pond and the green would disappear under the temporary crossing, which is kind of contrary to the purpose of the exercise. And if it stays there, it's no longer temporary, is it? It's a permanent. And they objected to a new permanent bridge, so I don't really understand what's going on there. But I thought I'd keep you up to date because It could be that this saga could go on for another few years yet, if they keep refusing everything that the county tried to do to fix it. I think the one thing that is certain is that if they don't repair it, it will fall down. It may take a bit longer, but there you go. So it's a strange situation. I know that later you are dealing with Don's resignation, but if I don't get a chance to speak then, I'd just like to say what a pleasure it was to know Don, even if it was only for a short while, and how helpful he was to me when I turned up first, not knowing which way was in and which way was out. So I will forever be grateful to him and wish him well in his retirement, and I hope that his illness isn't too debilitating for him and that he gets to enjoy his retirement. And as far as I'm aware, I've dealt with all the issues that have been raised with me, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Eusden.
Okay.
Councillors, do you have any questions for Councillor Eusden? Yes, Councillor Willis.
Just one, really. If they're not going to do anything with Finchinfield Bridge, perhaps they can come and do Fenton's for us.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? That would solve another little problem I've got going at the moment.
That's right, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, if there's no more questions, we'll move on to Councillor Butland. You're muted. Councillor Butland, you're muted.
I've just unmuted him.
Okay.
I've been unmuted, I think. Is that
yes,
correct?
You have, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Okay.
Good evening.
Although it's not Rayne, I will just correct on the position on Finchinfield Bridge. I won't go into the detail. If you want to see it, there's a perfectly good explanation on the Essex County Council website. There's been local exhibition of what has been done there. The temporary bridge is a temporary bridge whilst the other bridge is being mended. So that is the situation on that. I was going to mention COVID because that is the County Council do have the lead on that. Clearly, I've been involved in meetings all today with discussions as to where we go. We were originally, as a County Council, going to be putting in just over £2 million into local businesses, which was going to be aimed at the hospitality sector to help them to remain open. Well, of course, as Councillor Eusden has said, that's been overtaken by the decision at the weekend. But it was all part and parcel linked to the fact that we took collectively, County Council and all the districts and city and borough councils of all political persuasions, took the decision to seek to get Essex put into the high category a little while ago. I think we're now in week 2 of that, on the basis that that was the best chance of being able to avoid a seriously deteriorating situation. I'm pleased to say the initial figures this week do show, although it's still increasing in Essex, it does show the numbers falling, or the increase falling, if I can put it that way, in a number of districts. So hopefully what we are now hoping to do is that when we come out of the current restrictions on the 2nd of December, we hope to be able to persuade the government that we go back into the medium tier and not the high tier. In other words, the lowest level of restrictions. Now, that will depend, of course, on how the public react over the next 2 or 3 weeks on that. There is a significant amount, just over £1.2 billion coming out from government, which will go to districts to help local businesses as well. And we're waiting for the details of that, but we'll be working collectively. However, the one thing which hopefully will please everyone, there is no intention of shutting the waste recycling plants or stopping the green collection bins, other than, of course, they do come to an end. I think Councillor Eusden probably confirmed, I think the end of November.
November.
But that will be normal circumstances. But the waste recycling will stay open throughout this period. So that will continue. And we're also looking as a county council as to how best to put in the £2 million to help particularly vulnerable people, not just elderly vulnerable people, but also younger ones as well. And throughout the last half-term holiday last week, the county council provided free meals for well over 1,000 pupils. To make up for what I think is was a totally indefensible decision by the government not to continue free school meals. Also, we're now working for the Christmas holidays to ensure that will continue. I think that's probably the main points there. Clearly, this is going to dominate and continue to dominate the situation, and also dominate the financial work that's going on for the budget for next year. And clearly, there is a lot of hard work to be done, because the cost to local authorities, whilst the government have been pretty generous in some of the allocations they've made, it's still not covering all the extra resources that have had to be used. The one pleasant point is that Braintree has the lowest level of COVID-19 of any of the Essex districts. We're still increasing, but it is the lowest level. Although it would be fair to say the level we currently have is where Greater Manchester was about 3 weeks ago. So it's still, much more than we would want. There is an area sort of north of Halstead, which appears to be COVID-free at the moment. But clearly Great Notley and Great Notley and Rayne have been amongst the highest levels. Not huge, 9-10 cases, but actually some of the highest areas in the Braintree district. So it is around, and clearly, there are questions about how much of that is emanating from secondary schools. And we know that the secondary schools that families use in Rayne have all had cases of COVID, and some have had to send it off. So we have to remain, very much aware. I won't keep you any longer. If there are any questions, happy to answer them, Chairman.
Yes, I have one question regarding the funding that Essex County Council received from going to the higher tier.
Yeah.
And obviously now that we've obviously gone into lockdown, a different set of restrictions, and then if it does happen that we manage to come out in the medium tier after this, does that funding allocation still come to Essex County Council? Do you still have that, and will it still go to support hospitality and business and local businesses?
The 5 million we've got, half of it is going to vulnerable people, and that will continue because that's not changed. There is a discussion which I'm attending tomorrow morning with the business community to say we perhaps need to rethink how we were going to use that money. So, for example, in what we were going to do was to help the hospitality sector perhaps be able to provide facilities outside with heaters and that sort of thing. Well, clearly there's no point in funding that when they're not allowed to open at all. But we are meeting, as I say, with the business community tomorrow. That's a very small bit of the additional money. I think what businesses will be much more interested in is the scheme from government, which will mean up to, off the top of my head, I think it's £2,100 per month support to businesses. So we are working very closely with business representatives, Confederation of Small Businesses, Institute of Directors, all of those on a round table. But it still will go to business. But what we want to know is what is going to be the best way of doing it.
Brilliant, thank you. Any other questions for Councillor Butland? Anybody? No, everyone's quiet tonight. Appreciate, thank you both of you for attending our meeting tonight, and obviously you're more than happy to stay and listen in if you want to. But this evening's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to roads, transport and public safety. Do we have any defects to report around the village? Street lamps seem to be very quiet, considering the nights have drawn in now. We don't seem to have had many. Yeah, sure, I know. The only thing that I will mention that I've seen via emails and I think over social media a little bit is quite a few overgrown hedges around the village where we've had emails into the parish council, and I know Sarah has contacted the appropriate residents to try and sort these issues out. So that does seem to be a bit of a theme in the village at the moment. So as the green bins are still being collected until the 24th of November, it'd be very nice if villagers could fill them up and get rid of their overgrown hedges. But any other defects anyone has seen around the village? No. Thank you. Moving on to Stansted Airport. Obviously, it's quite quiet with not many flights at the moment. The thing that I noticed, Sarah sent an email out this afternoon, and it's something that I'd noticed also on social media, that it's been reported that the drop down or the drop off zone at Stansted Airport went up to £5, and now it's gone up to £7 to drop somebody off for 15 minutes. Parking at the drop off zone, which is quite a hike, isn't it? I dare say they're trying to recoup some money somehow with a lack of people dropping off at the airport. But that's definitely something I think we need to watch on. And I think, as Sarah said in her email, we're quite lucky that we have a bus that's very serviceable that takes us to Stansted Airport. But yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else has any other comments on Stansted Airport other than that. No. Okay, thank you. Policing issues. I don't think we've really got any policing issues. We've only had a couple of things on the police report happening, really. Obviously, we'll just have to see how this week goes with fireworks, and hope we don't have any antisocial behaviour within the village. Yes, Paul. Councillor Willis.
So, anything I was going to say, is there any guidance on what happens after the 5th of November? Because, I mean, obviously we're technically in lockdown now, and the 5th of November is Guy Fawkes.
I assume that it's going to remain that it'll have to be household only. Yeah. You know, because obviously we're in lockdown, it'll have to be household bonfire parties only. There's going to be there's no rule of 6 or anything, is there now? So
no, I just wondered what people would make of that, if you see what I mean. Doesn't worry me. I don't like fireworks, but I mean,
it means a very, very long November of lots and lots of fireworks is what I think it means, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is our concern. Mike couldn't be here tonight, but he has made some posters and almost made us a Facebook campaign for the next 3 days. Obviously, we're not telling people not to have a firework party. We can't tell them to do that. But basically, if they do them, do it safely. Think of neighbours, animals and all that kind of thing, and just try not to be antisocial with it. So there's nothing, else, that we can do, unfortunately. Councillor Willis?
I think Councillor Euston wanted to say something. So.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just that I'm pretty sure there's guidance on firework night on the government website.
Oh, is it?
.uk. I think it's on there because there's definitely guidance on Remembrance Day, and I think
direction of that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah, we have had some guidance through from Braintree Council, and they are sharing some information over their social media channels, and we've also had, which we shared, a very good video by the fire brigade, which sort of attacks fireworks, I guess, from another angle, because obviously if anything goes wrong, you have to call the fire service, who are always under pressure as it is. So I think having a video from them is a reminder to be sensible and to be careful.
Yeah, I think we'll have like a whole package of social media posts going out on the run up, and obviously probably into the weekend as well, because they're not going to all happen on Thursday night. We'll probably get some over the weekend, which is quite hard because we've got Remembrance Sunday also on this Sunday. It's all really concertinaed close together. I believe it's the 14th.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think we might have a week and a weekend of fireworks, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, it depends which way you want to go with it, but yeah. If nothing else on policing issues, we'll move on to the Safe, Well and Secure event. Sarah, do you want to give us an update on that, because you're much more up to date with that?
Yes, I had, for those that don't know, we had an event back in October, which included the fire service in the main, but there were also other colleagues from the police, dementia, Community 360, all came to the village and knocked on doors. The main aim was to ensure that residents had working smoke detectors in their property. So I went out on the Thursday and knocked on some doors as well. So it was a really good way of getting out in the community. Following that event, we had a report back from the fire service, the community safety officer. And he said in total we knocked on 865 doors, had 307 engagements. So basically that 307 people answered the door. 72 properties were supplied with alarms, of which 4 were sensory alarms. So there's special alarms for people that are deaf, for example. So they issued 113 alarms in total. Now, these alarms are really discreet. They're quite small, and the battery lasts for 10 years, and they've actually got a date on the detector, so you know exactly when it was installed. So they're a really good piece of kit. And anybody that didn't manage to get one or didn't see the leaflet, just contact the fire service and they're more than happy to come out and fit them. They did a number of detectors on the day for people in the main that didn't have somebody that could do the fitting for them. So anybody that was vulnerable, they were safely social distancing, accessing properties and actually going in and fitting the detectors there and then. So they also came across some safeguarding issues as well, which could lead to possible fire risks. So that was good for them. So yeah, it was a really successful day. I've got some more detail as well from them that I can provide if anybody would like to see that. But yeah, I think it was a good way for us to get out in the community. I wish I could have done both days really, because they did the majority of the legwork on the Wednesday when unfortunately I was on my other job. They were really positive, and they were particularly grateful to the parish council for advertising the event to villagers, because a lot of people were expecting them and were really pleased to see them. So yeah, it was a really good event. Thank you.
Yeah, my thanks to Sarah for organising that, along with Mike helped as well. It was, yeah, I think it was a really beneficial thing for the community, and I think there's been a lot taken out and a lot got from it, a lot gained from it. So, any questions about that or any comments from councillors? No, thank you. Yeah, and thanks again, Sarah, for getting that sorted and taking the time to go round as well and meet people as well. It's always good.
Can I just ask one thing? Does anybody phone up the fire brigade and ask for a smoke alarm to be fitted?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, Chair, I have got leaflets in the office with a particular number on them. But if you've still got the leaflet that was put through the door on the day, there should be contact details on there. If not, I've got
okay, because I haven't got a smoke alarm. Right, okay, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay, moving on to administration. We've got the clerk's report. Sarah, have you got any thing to add to the clerk's report?
to add, thank you, Chair. I do apologise for circulating it quite late. There was so much to do. It was difficult to update it as well. So yeah, apologies that it was a bit late coming out this afternoon. If anybody's got any questions after the meeting, then please do let me know.
Yeah, it's definitely a busy time, and I think you can, like, obviously as a council we need to see what work Sarah's undertaken, but then it also takes time to fill in something like this when she hasn't got a lot of time to you know, when all when the role is actually taking over all of the time. So do councillors have any any queries with the clerk's report for this month?
I think we've covered off 19/058.2.
Yes, I think we have. We can probably take that off now. Yes, because they were put into the Rayne and Focus as well this month as well, wasn't it? So yeah, well spotted. Thank you, Councillor Rippingale. Okay, moving on to policies. We have 3 policies that have been reviewed by the Communication and Data Committee and recommended for what's the word I want? Recommended for passing again. The complaints policy and the freedom of information publication scheme. The only thing that we have done is we've renamed what was the councillor induction guide. We've actually renamed it as a councillor handbook, mainly because all the information that's in there I think is relevant to any councillor, just not a new councillor that's being inducted. Something that anyone can turn their eye to and try and find out some information. So that is the only thing that's happened with that. It's just the name change. Other than that, are we happy to propose and second those en bloc?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rippingale and Councillor Meehan. Thank you. And can we also note the minutes from the Communication and Data Management Committee? Does anyone have any queries raising from those minutes? I think they're quite explanatory, but is there any queries from them? No, thank you.
We're all very quiet.
I know, you're all really quiet tonight. Where's all the rowdy councillors? It's because you're all quiet and online, that's why. Okay, moving on to the proposed calendar meetings for next year. Obviously, they are, as normal, the first Monday of each month, apart from 2, which are obviously after bank holiday, as they're on a Tuesday in, I think it's August and September, August and May. Sorry, I'm waiting for it to download, and it's not happening. And then the Finance Committee timings are basically in line with what we've done this year. So it's loaded now. So that would be Finance is the only kind of like committee we tend to put in the dates now, because obviously with Finance it is quite important, and the personnel and C&D do as an ad hoc process. So are we happy with those meeting dates?
Yeah, may I just say,
Yes,
Chair,
of course, yes.
the person that books the old schoolrooms has had a family bereavement, so she's been unable to confirm the dates for me. So with your agreement, I'd like to bring the final calendar back to the December meeting, just so that we can cover off any issues that there may be with the clash of dates. Appreciate that we won't actually be meeting in person for quite some time into 2021, but it's only fair that we book the venue that we would do normally, in the hope that at some point we'll be able to get back to meeting in person.
Yeah, I totally agree that. So do you want a resolution on these dates, or just for us just to note them tonight?
If we could just note them for now, and then I'll bring back the final calendar to the December meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Does anyone have any comments to make on these dates? Okay. I think they're duly noted, Sarah. Okay, the next item is obviously just referring to the resignation of Don Smith. He's had to stand down due to his health not being as it was. He tried very hard to carry on, and he wanted to carry on, but unfortunately his doctors said really enough's enough. So with much regret, he has resigned. He's passed over his documents on the planning white paper, which we managed to submit last week. I think he still would like to be involved with the gravel pit, obviously not as a councillor. I think he will try and do what he can from a personal point of view going forward. I, of course, have sent him an email on behalf of the parish council thanking him for his dedication and support that he's given, to the village of Rayne and to that of the parish council. So he has received that. So and obviously I passed on all of our thanks on your behalf. So yeah, that's quite sad. So obviously we have the advertisement going out. Obviously we're what's it called at the moment, Sarah? The proper.
We have a notice on the board seeking 10 requests for an election. If that isn't forthcoming by mid-November, then we can proceed to co-opt. Braintree Council elections have confirmed to me that we can still co-opt. However, if an election is requested, it would not be able to be held until May 2021 at this stage, but that's the changes by the government.
So yeah, so hopefully all being well, we'll be later on in the month, but that's obviously where we stand for now. Obviously the fallout from Don resigning is that we'll need somebody for the council to go on the liaison committee, so that's something that we'll need to discuss, and actually on our next item agenda I'll discuss about the minerals and waste a little bit more anyway, but obviously a signatory for the bank account again, which is later on our agenda. So there are a few things to sort out since Don's retirement. So any comments?
No, only to others than to say I fully support what you said. Don's been a great servant to Rayne over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially on the gravel pit.
Definitely, his tenacity definitely has showed through on that one. Okay, so moving on to circulation and correspondence. We've obviously had a lot of correspondence via email and also on social media, all revolving around the GigaClear works within the village. It's from the very good to the very bad. Obviously not. It seems to appear they seem to have knocked out the broadband within the village. I think Sarah's has been spending a lot of time on social media trying to help villagers out, and also emailing GigaClear themselves and trying to get some answers. Sarah, do you want to update on where you're at?
Yeah, I think we first had an issue just before I went on leave, because they've sort of, unfortunately, in some ways, they've targeted the whole village. So we had a couple of issues come up just before I went on leave. So I publicised the details, their contact details then. Since then, obviously, they've moved into various roads around the village. As you say, we had issues with infrastructure over the weekend. So I telephoned my contact this afternoon because I thought that was the best way of handling it. She got back to me. She couldn't explain why that the internet had failed, the cause of that, but they were looking into it. She has offered me a Zoom meeting on Thursday, which I've accepted. So I'll be the issues that villagers have been experiencing, because it's not acceptable. I'm also hearing from some villagers that they weren't aware of particular parking restrictions. Obviously, some areas have had temporary traffic lights as well. So it has caused a lot of frustration and upset around the village, which is not a good time when a lot of us are returning to working from home, when we all need our internet connection, which is, it can be a bit hit and miss at the best of times. But we have got that communication, so at least that's something we can meet and talk about it. So any other issues I can flag up with them direct on Thursday, and hopefully we can get this resolved and have a better outcome after that.
Councillor Willis?
Do we have any idea when they're actually likely to finish this? Because I thought their works notice was up till the 30th of October.
That's something I can ask on Thursday, Councillor Willis, yeah, because a couple of people have asked what their end date is. They may not be able to be very exact because, like many residents, I had a letter indicating they would be in my road for a certain amount of time, which they overran. So, guessing that, you know, their estimate for finishing the work will have been affected by issues they've come up against. So I don't think they can be particularly exact.
They couldn't have surveyed the job particularly well, could they? I've never seen such a carry on, to be honest. But
yeah,
watching them working is painful, really.
Councillor Agatha?
When GigaClear gave us the presentation, they did say that they aim to be finished by the new year.
The new year?
Yeah.
Can't hear you, sorry.
When GigaClear did the presentation, they did say that it'd be the new year they aim to be finished by.
I mean, that's they've given no indication to anybody in the village that they were going to take that length of time, have they?
No, and also the highway permits listed on roadworks.
Finished, yeah.
None of them cover the details of what they're actually doing as far as temporary traffic lights. None of them actually talk about temporary traffic lights.
It's a disaster.
They seem to have just got permits and then just doing what the hell they want.
Councillor Meehan?
Sarah, is your contact Sophie? Yeah, the one thing I was, she is lovely. One thing I will say is when we had dealings with her, I would be prepared for her to go, oh, I don't know, or not be able to answer something, because I had a lot of issues where she basically ended up just giving me the contact details of someone slightly higher than her, get in contact with. So I would push if I were you.
Yes, I am doing. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's not just her on Thursday. I think it is one of their lead officers.
Okay, that's good
in
then.
communication, and their network build team.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Okay,
I will be. I wouldn't settle for it.
Poor Sophie, I think, gets thrown under the bus from what I can gather.
I gather that as well. But when she emailed me earlier today, she said that she would get a response by the end of the week, and I did say, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. I need to let residents know as soon as possible, particularly with the restrictions coming in on Thursday. So I got a slightly better email back after that, but it still doesn't tell me why and how things are. They're sort of passing the buck a little bit, which I don't particularly like that when they say, it's due to things that are out of their control, that they weren't aware of, they didn't receive the right maps or whatever. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. They need to take ownership of this and resolve it. So I will keep pushing for it, don't worry.
Perfect.
we do very unhappy residents, quite rightly so. So, they have had issues. For example,
unfortunately, some residents appear to have been, really helped and very happy, but the vast majority have had issues, which is very sad, considering that they were quite proactive. GigaClear in the beginning of meeting with me, way back before they even did the works on the Flitch Way. So it's a shame that it's come to this, really, but we'll carry on working. We have that communication, so that's something.
And Sarah will feed back to us after her meeting on Thursday, and obviously we're cascading information out to residents. Yeah, we're doing all we can to help
Chair,
them.
to be fair, you know, I know you one of you said about the traffic lights, but I think there was no alternative. I mean, the way that the village has got, you know, humps and this and that, I think you had to have traffic lights. I know it probably wasn't in the, you know, statement of works, but there was no other alternative, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, that's completely right. But I think they are actually meant to, probably by law, actually kind of like say that they're doing that. So,
well, maybe I'm just guessing here now. I'm not defending them, but maybe the person who actually, you know, authorised all this didn't actually do a site visit and see how the land lied. Maybe that was a reason why they had to come up with traffic lights. I'm just guessing, but you know, that's how it seems to me. That you know, otherwise you'd never get a bus through if
No.
you didn't have some sort of traffic control.
Well, the Notley pickup bus is now having to be picked up outside number 47 rather than the Welsh for the next few days because of the traffic lights. So, so the kids have got to remember to walk somewhere different tomorrow morning. God help them. I'm sure they'll get to school somehow. But anyway, yeah, we're doing what we can, and yeah. Okay. Moving on to Essex Minerals and Waste Development and Mineral Extraction Site. On Don's resignation, Sarah emailed them to make sure that we were then getting the information that we needed. The plan now is not to have a liaison meeting until springtime next year, mainly because they're still doing some preparation to the site works, which I think includes fencing and things like that. As per their planning conditions that they need to do. So they don't envisage the liaison committee starting until spring. I think that's about it, isn't it, Sarah?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Any questions? Obviously, we will advertise for. We had one villager contact us wanting to go onto the liaison committee. I'm assuming Don might like to be the second person now if there's no other takers, and obviously we'll need somebody from the parish council. Hello, Councillor Euston's pussycat. Sorry. I mean, to be fair, I'm happy
like to get in on the act.
They always do. I'm quite happy to pick up going on the liaison committee on behalf of the parish council, unless there is somebody else that they feel is more qualified or has more. I won't say more of an interest because that's completely wrong, but lives closer and has that kind of interest or something. I'm more than happy. But obviously, we have got. Any comments?
I can fill some shoes to a certain extent if that is required. Certainly.
So I didn't catch that.
Can't hear you.
I can fill some shoes, but not all of them, I don't think.
Okay. We'll see what happens nearer the time, and hopefully once they've got the structure to the liaison committee, because I know Don was very much not keen on the structure that they'd put forward. So we'll see what comes back. Okay, we're moving on to the planning applications. There's quite a few of them tonight. So the first one is for the first floor extension and loft conversion with a new dormer and roof lights at 41 Shelford Road. Does anyone have any comments on this application? No, it's straightforward, isn't it? So, and there's no neighbourhood objections or anything. So, I suggest no comment.
Yep.
Okay.
Chair, can I just interrupt? The next planning application, can I declare an interest, please, Sarah? Sorry, is the next door but one neighbour to me.
Thank you, Councillor Merton. Again, so the next application is a 2-storey side, single-storey rear and side extension, and single front porch extensions following demolition of garage and outbuildings at Windycroft, Dunmow Road. It's a lovely big extension, it's almost doubling the size of the house, but I can't see personally any issues with it. Does anyone else have any issues?
Well, I was going to say, does that impact on the neighbour? I mean, if there's no comment from the neighbour, then I have no comment.
There are no neighbour objections on the portal at this time.
How we go with no comment then?
Okay, no comment, everybody.
Yep.
Yep. Moving on to the single-storey extension to an existing outbuilding and alterations to the existing garage at Little Common Lane, Long Lane. The applicant did send us an email with some background information to that planning application. I hope was that circulated to all councillors, Sarah?
I can't remember saying that.
Yeah, did anybody want me to read that out again for their benefit?
Yeah, I think somebody said
Perhaps you would, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so the applicant advises that the building we are planning to extend is presently used as an office and it has been part of the property for more than 30 years to our knowledge. The issue with the existing building is that is of a strange shaped footprint and has very low ceilings in several places, which make a large portion of the space not particularly useful. Our plan is to make it more squared off in footprint and to raise the roof to a consistent head height throughout. We would note that the planned extension is to allow us to make better use of the building as an office stroke home gym for myself and my husband, in particular in light of the home working recommendations and changes. Please note that we are not adding any facilities, in brackets kitchen stroke bathroom, etc., which would lead to a potential use as an Airbnb or a separate dwelling in any form, and I can be 100% clear that we have no intention for this type of use. And that is the end of their email.
Yeah, I do remember it now. Yeah.
Any comments?
No.
No. Again, it's just a straightforward planning application and probably making best space, isn't it? So no comment.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the garage conversion and first floor extension at 14 Foundry Way. Obviously, we heard from the applicants tonight. Do council see any issue with this? There seems to be no parking issues or anything, so I'm happy to propose no comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the single story rear extension at Essex House, Fairy Hall Lane. Again, we saw the applicants again this evening. Again, it's literally just in filling in the shape of the footprint of the building that's there already. Again, I don't see there's any reason other than no comment again.
Yep.
Unless anyone else thinks different.
No.
Yeah. No comment. Then we have change of use from agricultural land to equine paddock with the installation of a 1.2 high post and rail fenced perimeter. This is at Rayne Hall Farm. This is we back in the summer we did actually object to the stables going in, but obviously that's since passed, and basically they just want to have a different, reading the applicant's notes, they just want a different field to put the horses in because the bottom one floods.
Well, they've already grasped what they've already done there, haven't they? So they've just put the fence up, basically.
Yeah.
They have sides to the site, yes. It's can't really object to it.
No.
Because it's just changing a field.
Exactly. Councillor Davis?
The only thing I'd say is that they got planning originally for a section of it for equine use. they're now effectively doubling that area. But presumably, from what I've read, they'll be able to keep the existing area as well. So they're doubling the size of the area for equestrian facility. But then again, as you know, it's just grass anyway, isn't it? So
yeah. Are we going with a no comment? Councillor Tibbets.
This thing seems to be sort of getting bigger and bigger. The next probably planning permission will be to enlarge the stable block, and then they'll add more things. I can see this turning into a very sort of big equestrian centre, not as one thing, but just doing it in lots of little chunks. So, okay, somewhere along the line, do we really want a big equestrian centre down that road?
That's something we'll probably have to answer at some stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that we can say no to or object to at the moment, because it's just a field changing, a change of use to a field. So I think, yes, if bigger stables and that kind of thing comes to us in the future, I think, yes, we've probably got more of an objection, but I don't think we have much of an objection to this planning application.
No, can't really see it at the moment.
Something to look out for then.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's certainly a on the radar to be mindful for.
I mean,
unfortunately, the planning department can only look at what's in front of them at the time.
Yeah.
They can't anticipate what may come in the future, despite objections from nearby residents, which have already been expressed to the planning authority.
Not on this application, though, is there?
Not on this one, Chair, no, but on the previous application for the same site.
Yeah. Okay. I propose no comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the planning application to note is the application for certificate of lawfulness for a proposed development, which is a proposed loft conversion with rear dormer and roof lights, little over along New Road. We can't comment on that, it's just for information only. And then planning results, the proposed 2-storey front and side extension at 12 Smithfields has been granted. The single-storey side and 2-storey rear extension at 20 Medley Road has been granted. The outline planning permission with all matters reserved apart from access and sale, the erection of 9 dwellings at Mill House School Road, that has been refused. The non-material amendment, it's really long.
It's a summary.
For the application at the Ruskins New Road, that's granted. Sorry, it's all on the agenda if you want to read it. But that's been granted, and the certificate of lawfulness for proposed use, the use of an outbuilding to facilitate personal training business at 13 Vaughan Close, that has also been granted. Councillors will be mindful that obviously this was a planning application the previous application caused quite some controversy during last year. Obviously, that planning application was refused, and this application was for her just to do one-to-one personal training with her classes happening in other facilities in the village, and that's now been granted. So hopefully that's a good result all round. So. Moving on to the review of the planning scheme of delegation. I have some notes. Do any other councillors have any other comments on this scheme of delegation?
Somebody must.
Councillor Spencer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I did have a couple of comments, but I would imagine you've probably done a far better job than me, Anne, of coming up with a comprehensive list. So would it be easier if we listen to your comments and then if you missed anything?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Okay. My first my first query when I started reading it was the objective 1, where it states that so the committee can focus on the most significant and complex applications, those that affect the way in which the district will grow and have a higher level of interest. To my mind, just because there's a smaller application that's objected to doesn't mean it's not significant or complex for the area that it's happening in. So for example, there's something happening in Rayne and it was just one dwelling. It affects quite a few lives, and I just think that objective, that it just makes it sound that they're only interested in sending the likes of things like School Road and Brook Green to planning committee, and we never object to anything likely either. So I felt that objective didn't really kind of like state really what I think the proper objective should be really. I think that for parish councils to be involved at the pre-app stage would definitely be a welcome thing. To see what's happening and try and have some kind of forum and going with the developer and see what the issues are before even an application goes in. I think that is to be welcomed. I can also understand why they want a scheme of delegation, because they are, with the best will in the world, BDC are running behind with their applications, and it was things like School Road that went straight to appeal because of non-determination, because unfortunately the time ran out and the developer forced their hand. So I can understand why they would want to have a scheme of delegation to try and stop that kind of thing happening. My other point is 5.7, where they state about the amount of objections that happen by parish councils, and that then the parish councils don't attend planning committee. I've been on the parish council 5 or 6 years now, and we have never ever not attended a planning committee where we as a parish council have objected to a planning application. So I'm guessing we're perhaps one of the parish councils that's different, and that we do actually attend. But I take umbrage to that comment, because we have always sent somebody, whether it's the chair, whether it's the clerk, or another councillor has stepped up to the plate. We have always attended. So I'm sorry, but I will stand up for us with that. And the last part is with the appendix, where they actually have got the new scheme of delegation. My concerns are that if, as a parish council, we do object to a planning application on this scheme of delegation, it seems that there will be a meeting between perhaps the chair and there'll be a chair's briefing, and they can decide actually whether to I don't think overrule is quite the right thing, but actually they will decide whether it goes to planning committee or not. And I think that's a lot of weight given to somebody when, as a parish council, I don't think we ever object lightly to anything. And I wouldn't like that to not for us to be able to have our say at planning committee, because the chair of the planning committee overrules that.
I agree with that statement.
They're my thoughts. Sorry, there's quite a few there. I don't know if anyone else has any others. Councillor Spencer.
Yeah, I agree with all the points that you've made, Anne. I also thought there was another one where they were talking about meaningful engagement with members, local ward members and parish councillors. That's great. But at no point did they mention anything about members of the public. So say, for example, we as a parish council might see an application for one house, and we might not even think it's any huge deal. But if there were the 5 residents, say, who lived around it, who were passionate about it, I couldn't see anywhere that their voices would be heard, or would it be dependent on, if you're a local resident, you must come to the parish council and make your your feelings known. I'm not sure, but it just seemed there was a gap there.
Yeah, I quite agree.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments?
And also with regard to the comment about the parish councils only 22% attending, couldn't it be made, if this is a problem to the council, couldn't they impose a condition which says if you are going to object as a council, you have to be willing to attend the meeting?
I think that's quite hard to put down as a proviso for reason for objection, unfortunately. But, you know, whenever at some point, and unfortunately, perhaps other town and parish councils don't think the same as what we do, and I'm proud that we do attend, and I think it's noted that we do attend, and it's very much noted the ones that don't attend. I've been to a few where comments have been stated that, oh, you know, that parish council isn't there again. So, Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. We had a supported communities meeting this morning, we as in parish clerks, with Braintree District Council, and the development control manager was at the meeting because the clerks requested that the scheme of delegation review was on the agenda. So it was interesting to get some other views. And I asked a question about predetermination because I know that was a concern for some of my fellow clerks and myself. We've always known that, well, coming from the other side of it, when I used to work for Braintree Area Committee, councillors had to come to the meeting with an open mind, and I expect the same of parish councillors now as well. So there's a little bit of concern about if you have a meeting with a developer before it goes to planning committee, how do you come to the meeting with an open mind? But we were assured by the development control manager that councillors should not make their views known. They were able to ask questions, but they should still retain an open mind and not make any decisions until it comes to the planning committee. So that was somewhat reassuring, because obviously as a parish council you will also from time to time be contacted direct by developers excuse me, before they come to even submit their planning application, and I know that's been avoided in the past. But I agree it would be useful to be involved at the pre-app stage in some instances, but I would caution you to try and retain an open mind and not publicise any views prior to it going to a public meeting, if possible. And then just going back on attending a planning committee, that is welcomed by the planning by the councillors. Obviously we're quite fortunate, we're relatively close to where the meetings are held, so I guess that makes a difference as well. If you're sort of at the far north of the district, such as Steeple Bumpstead or Bournemouth, somewhere like that, it's not quite so easy, particularly on snowy days. Well, you know, we had Brook Green, didn't we, and that was a particularly bad weather time for weather, but we still had a good turnout because we're relatively local. So I know some clerks have taken offence at that because they feel that they've submitted their comments and that's enough. But I agree. I think it's courtesy really to turn up if you've made a point of objecting to something, particularly if it is against the officer recommendation. I think it is courtesy to go along to the meeting and explain more about that, or just add weight by reading your statement out personally. For me, it just shows that you're more passionate about something, I think. So yeah, if we could just gather together some thoughts on this, then I can put it all in a paper and circulate it to everyone. And if you've got anything further to add, then we can update it and make sure it's in by the deadline of the 13th, isn't it, of November?
Okay. Shall I put my notes that I've just stated to the meeting, I'll put them in an email to you, Sarah. That'd be easier.
Please, yeah, and if anybody else has any views, then please get them to me as soon as possible, so that I can collate everything together. I've drafted a letter already, so it's all ready to go.
Have you already got a note of my comment about residents?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Thank you, Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send my waffle back to you because I waffled.
That's fine. I can update it. It's fine.
Cool. Yeah, I'll get that to you in the next day or two then.
But I think it is a very important document that you do, make any views known, because this will have an impact on how we engage with the planning committee. So anything that you feel, no matter how minor it is, but anything you want to say, then please do forward it to me. It's really important that we let them know our views on this.
Yeah, definitely. Any other comments? Any other thoughts? No. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the environment and the grounds.
Yes, unfortunately, October has been very busy for us. Mark was off holiday for the first week and has had issues with his medication since then, which meant that the majority of the time he was working by himself on different days to Andy. So we haven't been able to do much as a team, but we have covering basically grass cutting and making sure the church and that is good for Remembrance Sunday and all that, although obviously it's not going to be happening in the same way as it was.
We're still recording it though. It's being recorded. I think the church are managing to get together, I think it's tomorrow actually, to record their bit. Myself and Charlie will be going down probably at the weekend to do our bit, and then it'll all be put together. It's the only way we can do it now. So it'll be what it will look like.
Obviously, when Mark is back, I mean, the current situation in regards to lockdown, they are still obviously suggesting you can work outside, but obviously I don't know what the latest is with Mark's or Mark's doctor's recommendation for him. So obviously I'll be guided by that. He's said he's going to be off this week for a medical reason. I can't remember what it was now.
I think we were told at the meeting this morning that there'll be letters sent out to anybody that's particularly vulnerable by the end of the week. So you may have more of an idea then.
Okay, fine. I'll pick up with him. But obviously, that's why Oak Meadow hasn't had any work done to it since the meeting. But we are hoping at some point, obviously, to get on to Oak Meadow and do the thistles. One of the other things is the tractor tyres that we've got aren't particularly good on a boggy land, so we have to be. Let's say November's looking a bit drier, so hopefully by the end of November we will actually cover the thistles. I'm holding my breath at the moment, and obviously we've still got to do the bins at some point as well. But also I'm hoping to get the Perron back together, hopefully later this month. Other than that, oh yeah, we've had the new hedge trimmer, telescopic hedge trimmer. Annie has loved it. It's worked very, very well. And Mark has did actually manage to get £30 off of the final price.
Fantastic.
I think it was only £300 rather than £330, which obviously does help in the grand scheme of things. As I've reported to the finance team, Mark is confident we don't need to service either vehicle this year, so we're going to hold on to the equipment replacement fund. And that's the update from me.
Brilliant. Thank you. Any other questions? No. Thank you. And yeah, thank the groundsmen for their work again. And hopefully, they'll be able to carry on together and get going with stuff.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, moving on to the village hall.
We had we've got problems with our roof, with the flat roof. We've had two roofers look at it today. We're waiting for quotes for them, but we are anticipating it could be in the 5-figure region. And obviously, the parish the village hall committee have to sort of sort out repayments of standing orders as well. So we just thought we'd bring it to your notice that the roof is in need of repair, and it probably will be temporary fixed until next spring, when hopefully we can go ahead and get it done. But some of the reserves that we've got will probably be used towards that as well. And I'm sure Tony will be in on the seeing what we can do, going forward. Just thought you ought to be aware that the village hall has got a problem. It's got 2 spongy bits, and it's leaked water. How it's not come into the actual village hall yet, we really don't know. But that's the situation.
The flat roof is the kitchen end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the flat roof end. Yeah, where it's there, and actually where the flat roof joins the brick at the other end. So where you've got the peak and you've got the flat roof, and it's where it joins that as well. It's quite a big dip there, apparently, by the entrance. So yeah, just so you be aware that it's going to be temporarily fixed, with a view to looking at possibly a 5-figure number next year to get it done.
Yeah, I know that's always been a concern, the roof, hasn't it? So yeah. I know it's been mentioned in the past. So
yeah, exactly. It's one of those things we knew had to be done, but I think it's exacerbated, and all this rain doesn't make it any easier either.
No, we're going into the bad time. I think where it's been so dry in the summer as well.
Yeah,
unfortunately, they dry, crack, and what have you. So unfortunately, it's something that's going to need quite a lot of financing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Apart from that, I think we were going to actually go and clear the playground up a bit, but seeing that lockdown's now coming into effect on Thursday, which was the very day we were going to do it, I think the consensus is that we don't do anything until after lockdown.
Playgrounds aren't shutting this time, though, are they?
I don't know, to be honest, off the top of the head. But even so, if there's 6 of us outside,
Oh, you can't do that way, yeah. No.
So it's not feasible.
And was the addendum to the village hall committee for the Oak Meadow discussed?
I think that's over to Simon. Over, Simon?
Yes. I don't know whether you can hear me. Yeah, that was discussed. There's several things on the grass cutting. Although BDC have sort of said we'll do it, we haven't actually had a contract or anything from BDC to say they will do it. So until we get that contract, we can't really say, oh yes, the parish council don't have to do it.
I think we're probably.
Mike actually sort of said, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that bit. But we're going to wait until we actually get the official agreement from BDC saying they're going to do it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's bit of grass at the front there. We've also had another delivery of the BMX stuff being there. Because I tend to do that myself, I can still carry on doing that during lockdown, looking after the BMX track. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Sorry, could you just clarify what the delivery was to the BMX track, please?
All the crushed limestone that's used to cover it.
Is to keep it maintained.
It's about, I can't remember it cost. Last time it cost around about £800. It's probably more this time.
Where's that source?
BMX track. It's a crushed lime that is used to maintain.
I can't hear you, Trevor. I never can.
Now, where is that sourced from?
It's quite a long way away. Over towards maybe the Cotswold or something like that. because it's limestone. It has to come from where limestone can be
Sure.
mined. So right, and it's about how many tons is it? 20 tons or something we get delivered.
I think
If
we're
you go into the overflow car park, you'll see it on the left-hand side,
under the
normally
tarpaulin.
covered over with a black with a blue tarpaulin. Yeah.
Okay.
Wander across there with my little wheelbarrow and slowly spread it over the BMX track.
Any other questions? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm moving on to the telephone box.
Well, you've seen what I've written down, what we need to complete it now. So, can we spend the money or not, basically, for the glass replacement glass?
Oh yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to speak to Sarah other than the email that I sent yesterday morning. I haven't had a chance to.
I mean, I'm happy to. I mean, I don't think. I mean, it's not going to suffer any more than it would have suffered up Shelford Road, but in the original site, in fact, it's probably more sheltered where it is now. But I just thought, well, if we could seal it off by putting the. Well, I don't actually know how to put the glass in, I might add, at this stage, but but there are 4 panes that need replacing, and that would mean that if those 4 panes were done, then the thing would at least be weather tight for the winter, you know. And then obviously I can't see us actually really painting it until the spring now, but
No, I agree.
But it would at least make it watertight if we put the glass in.
I think it's something that's going to have to wait until the December, because obviously we haven't got a motion to agree spending for the telephone box tonight anyway.
No.
And so that would have to go. We haven't got a finance meeting either coming up. It has to go to full council to agree. Although in the new precept, obviously councillors will see next week that was time that we've put money aside for the telephone box. So essentially it'd be just spending. Sarah, are you in agreement that is something we'd have to do for December?
Yes, please, Chair. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to get back to this issue. I've been a bit busy with other things today, but if you can give me some time to review it, I'll try and get back to you by the end of the week on that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Apart from that, you know, there's not much we can do at the moment other than, you know, obviously the refurbishment, the major part of the refurbishment will have to wait until
It's completely gone.
Oh no. Well.
Great news that got to him.
Oh, let's wait for him to come back, because the next item's on is him as well, so we might as well wait for him to come back.
Do you think he's dropped the phone?
I think he dropped it, but I think he's also dropped his connection at the same time.
He's probably talking to the phone, thinking we can hear him.
No, he's back.
Here he comes.
I'm back.
There he is.
just slight technical hitch there, but yeah. Yeah, just yes. As far as the telephone, I mean, the actual the glass element. I think off the top of my head is really a matter of about £30 or £40. We're not talking fortunes, but obviously I'll leave it with you and let me know. And if it's an agenda item for the December meeting, then we can do it, and perhaps we could include it for that meeting.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm happy to put the spending, you know, request down for full council for December. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Moving on to the nature reserve then. Paul, you're up again. Don't drop your phone this time.
No, it just fell off the wall actually. But anyway, no. The nature reserve. Well, I think everybody's seen where we've pretty much documented where we've got to on that at the moment. It's really it's an ongoing process. Everybody's seen the little write-up I've done, so they know where we've got to on it. So we've obviously got a few things to do. I mean, I think obviously we're going to be in lockdown now for the next month. And one of the things I did think is that I can, with my wife anyway, is sort of supervising me. I can at least go down and do some of the ponds. I'm quite happy to get in the ponds in the chest waders and on my own and start pulling some of these reeds up, because some of the ponds are quite clogged up with reeds now, and they do need pulling back. So that is something I can do during lockdown. I think, yeah, I'm sure I can. And I'll be getting on with that over the next few weeks, I think. Some of the other jobs, well, obviously they're ongoing. I mean, I think the biggest problem we've got to cure in the short term is obviously Trevor's on the case for the thistles, but the bigger problem, I think, at the moment is the rabbit damage. Really, I'm not quite sure how we tackle it.
Wasn't somebody getting ferrets on the go?
Well, the village hall, I believe, has got somebody in doing some ferreting and long netting underneath the container in the pavilion area. But I mean, if it would be quite useful if we knew if we could find out who they are, and whether we could perhaps, if they're interested, whether they could continue on down the side of the nature reserve, where the most of the warrens are. Most of the rabbits are situated down the roadside of the nature reserve. If the same people wanted to carry, they want to spend the winter ferreting down there, then that would be quite a useful exercise for us. I mean, does anybody know? Does Simon or Celia know who's actually doing it, or know anything about it?
We know about it, but I don't know.
I know about it. I haven't got it.
Yeah, I don't know who actually is doing it.
No. Well, perhaps we could ask the village hall committee then who they're using, and would they be interested in doing it for the parish council as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can certainly
We'll
ask
get them to
boys.
contact you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, fantastic, Simon. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So we could. That's the major issue. I think in the winter we'll be tackling the. Obviously, we need to. I've written down what we do to save going through everything, but we need to form a working committee. So I mean, obviously, at the moment, it's myself and Mike and Trevor. I think that's an obvious commitment. And obviously, Sarah came round and did all the surveying with us and made all the notes, which formed the basis of my little write-up. Really, I just cribbed what she'd done. But I don't know whether Sarah wants to be involved in the day-to-day grind of it, really, because she's got plenty on her plate. So I just wondered if there's any. I don't know whether we can do this or not. Is that possible, or can we? How do we actually look to bring people onto a small subcommittee?
Sarah. We haven't got emotions like Sue, so we can't.
No, we can't. Okay.
We can't like do anything.
I will make sure for the December meeting. Then perhaps we can include that in the agenda, that we form a small subcommittee for the nature reserve.
Yeah, I think originally when we looked at several projects a few months back, one of them was a working group for the nature reserve, and we did discuss then about putting something out over social media in Focus magazine. But obviously that was before we knew that there would be another lockdown, so that does change things slightly, because it's a bit difficult to engage volunteers when we can't progress it at this stage. And also, I'm not even clear if Focus magazine will be out in December. I have asked the editor, because obviously I don't want to do my report this week for nothing. So,
yes, please, let me know.
As soon as I know anything more about that. Obviously, we can use social media, but I'm always conscious that doesn't get to the whole community. So it would be nice to put something in the Focus magazine as well. Whether that has to wait till January, I don't know. Who knows what's happening at the moment? I'm really sorry, but it's very difficult.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a marathon. This job anyway. It's not going to be a sprint. It's a long-term project, really.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, we have got a communication subcommittee next week, haven't we? Next Monday or whatever. It may be something I can ask Mike to include in that.
The agenda's already published.
Oh, so it is. Silly me. All right.
You have to get in quick with these things.
we'll consider it. Perhaps I don't know. As you say, we don't know what's happening tomorrow, let alone what's happening next week. But this is, as I say, I'm not too concerned because it's a marathon. This project, not a sprint. So
exactly. I mean, and just if you want something specifically worded or a decision kind of like made, obviously when Sarah does the agenda, anyone, this is to anyone, if you have something that you want to go on the agenda, a motion, yes, it's my agenda because I'm running the meeting, but you are more than happy to add things in from other councillors. So please, when we say the deadline for the agenda is, it isn't just for me, it is for everybody to put something forward. So, and obviously as a parish council, we have to do everything that is on the agenda. We can't do anything above or beyond or agree to something that isn't on the agenda. So
no problem. Anyway, I'm pleased we've made a start anyway.
Okay, brilliant. Moving on to finance. Obviously we have the list of payees. These have been obviously reviewed and looked over by Councillor Willis in his RFO auditor job. Does anyone have any questions on these? And are we happy to propose and second these payments? Yes, Councillor Rippingale, and I'm happy to second. I think Sarah would quite noted that we do actually have our VAT refund because that was quite problematic, wasn't it, Sarah? So a little dance that we've got our VAT refund on.
Hours that took me on the Thursday before I went on leave. Many hours, painful. I didn't expect it to come through as quick as it did because last year it took several months before we got the refund. So yes, when I saw that in the account, I was over the moon.
Small things, but they make us happy. Obviously, moving on to precept. If there are any other items for consideration at the precept meeting, either that hasn't been discussed already, are there any more? Finance discussed. Did the budget meeting for the precept meeting last week. We did the usual budget by line. At the moment, it's looking quite healthy, and with a very small increase in precepts. So hopefully when full council meets on the 16th of November for the precept meeting, hopefully it won't be too difficult this year, which is brilliant.
Chair, have we got any precept for the nature reserve? Because if there's quite a lot of things to be done, I mean, ferreting's going to cost as well, I would imagine. So I just wonder if you've got any sort of number in mind for the nature reserve and all the things that need to be done for that.
There's already earmarked funds in the reserves.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fine. I thought there was, but I just wanted to check. Thank you.
So yeah, any other items to put forward for precept other than what hasn't been discussed already? We have got a line, you'll see it when we have precept. We called it Rayne enhancement or something, but there's a sum of money sitting there ready if we want to do something nice or different for the village there as well. So yeah, it's all looking quite nice at the moment. Fingers crossed it stays that way.
Not something that Roger had for like planting bulbs and the like. Was that the enhancement? Was that the reason for the enhancement fund?
No. The last year we had a budget line for doing something after like the questionnaire or something for the village.
Oh, right.
So I think like last year it was like the
yeah.
notice board and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine.
So we've got like a sum of money that we can do something nice.
All right.
If something crops up. So yeah.
Bit of a slush fund. Okay.
Yes, Councillor Willis.
I think Councillor Merton's referring to the. I think she quite liked the idea of doing some wild flowers around the village, that sort of thing, in the vergeways, which I quite like the idea of as well. But I'm fairly certain there might actually be some fairly free schemes on that actually if we search around.
Okay. I just know that Roger sort of wanted to do it, and he put some wild daffodils. He purchased about, was it a couple of £100 worth or £100 worth of wild naturalised daffodils or something like that, and planted in the village. Some on Begley Corner being one.
Yeah.
I just wondered if that was it.
It's nothing that I've seen come to us to request any money for or anything.
All right. Okay.
No.
All righty.
Okay. The next item is obviously we need a new bank account signatory after the resignation of Don. When Finance Committee met last week, Councillor Mike Eldred was happy to be proposed as a signatory. Obviously, he's not here tonight, but I contacted him today to double check that he was still happy to be put forward, and he is. So, is there anybody else that would like to be a signatory? If not, I'm happy to propose Mike.
I am happy to second Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Well done, Mike.
Mike in his absence then. So yeah, Sarah, I'll let you deal obviously with all the paperwork for getting that done.
Yay!
So obviously we only have 3 signatories at the moment, obviously for signing this month's payments. So obviously between myself, Councillor Tibbetts and Councillor Meehan, we'll get those done in the next few hours, morning, whatever. Anyway, moving on to meetings and training. Obviously, there's a few more training courses coming back up and running with EALC. So if any of those do take your fancy, please do let Sarah know, because I know there's some training that does, need doing. Sarah sent one out about the wellbeing one this afternoon. And obviously Sarah has a meeting with GigaClear on Thursday morning. Have fun.
Thursday I had the sporting communities this morning, which went well. It was far better attended this time than it has been previously. So the message seems to be getting out to more clerks, which is really good. Because with my other hat on, I think that BDC doesn't really communicate very well with parishes, to be honest. Despite our lovely district councillor, who cascades absolutely everything to me, which is brilliant and much better than we've ever had before. It would still be good to have direct contact, I think, with officers at the district council. So these meetings are really useful. I hope the new people that joined this morning find it useful as well. Sherry Root, the director who chairs the meeting, said she had been contacted by parish councillors as well. But she wanted to keep it on a clerk level at the moment, because that's the best way to get the information out to everybody. And obviously a lot of our parish councillors are very busy as well, as some are employed, and wouldn't be able to attend such meetings. So I'm happy to go along. They're fitting in quite well to my working hours at the moment. And the next one will probably be held in about 4 to 5 weeks' time, hopefully before Christmas, and hopefully after this next lockdown ends. It's really useful because the information that we got this morning was very current and it was literally hot off the press. So that was really useful to share and hear what other parishes are doing as well. So I'll continue to join those meetings at the moment. No news on the virtual forum, so I don't know what happened to them, because I thought they were due to start up again. So We can follow that with the ALC if you wish. I know, Chair, you're back at work now, so it might be difficult for you to attend, but I also found those quite useful to speak to other clerks with EALC on a different level. But yeah, that's it for now.
Okay. My other point to make with meetings is to remind all councillors that the preset meeting on the 16th of November is another full council meeting. It's not a finance meeting where it's just finance committee. It is a full council. The budget has to be approved by full council. I think we had a few newbie ones didn't realise last year that they should be attending preset meetings. So that is a full council meeting on the 16th. The date of the next full council meeting, other than the preset meeting, is Monday the 7th of December, and the items for agenda to Sarah by Thursday the 26th of November at the latest, please. And with that, I will close the meeting at 21:21. Thank you all. And those who were watching on YouTube and on our live stream, thank you for watching, and see you again soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Night all.
Night all.
Everybody.
See you later, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Paul.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you. Night.
I'm going to go and eat now.
Russell gone? Oh,
Yeah.
it's gone. Okay.
Are we all going or? Yep.
Well, you don't have to. No, we tend to stay and have a little chat. Just that we're waiting. As always, wait for the record button to stop recording. So we, it's like everyone starts saying goodbye. Like, well, actually, I'm only saying goodbye because I want the recording to stop. But no, that was okay. So we got through it okay.
That wasn't bad again for quite a hefty agenda. 20 past. I don't think that's bad.
9:20. I'll have you. Come on, that's good.
That's good. Considering I still haven't eaten again.
Terrible.
I know. I can't figure it out. My issue is that on a Monday, Zach comes back from nursery. He's already had a full meal and he doesn't want a meal. So I have to do him something. And 9 times out of 10, we then end up eating later.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, so it just ends up being afterwards.
Okay.
So,
We'll let you off. There's always cake.
There is always cake. I did eat cake today. I ate and cake because she didn't come and have cake.
Somebody has to.
Tom, are you at the place with the amazing bar again?
Which one? I'm at the one down in Somerset.
Is it the one where you had you just got given a key to this bar and it was like gin?
They've all the venues have got that.
So cool. Are you just going to lock down there? Just be like, oh, can't come back. Sorry.
I need an assistant.
I'm in a 138-acre estate. The only one in the building right now.
Oh my god. That would really freak me out. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. That would really
I have been watching
upset me.
Invisible Man last night.
Complete with the keys to the grog store.
Brilliant. Right, well, I'm going to go eat.
Get food.
Bye all.
See ya.
The only thing I can quickly update you on, but he's going to email me as well, is that Russell has now looked at the village hall.
The trustee agreement.
Oh yes.
He's finally looked at that for me.
Oh, I'd forgot about that.
Yeah, so no, he kept emailing saying, "Anne, I haven't forgotten," and I'm like, no, it's fine. There's no rush type thing. So he looked at it tonight and he's going to put it all in an email for me. But basically, he opened it up, saw that it read 1962, and thought, "Oh bloody hell, what's this going to be?" And actually, he was very surprised, in that it covers everything really well still for an old document.
Yeah,
does it?
Yeah,
the
fact,
well written.
Yeah, it is, he said. And I think Kim may have looked at it too from her point of view. The only thing he would query that we perhaps haven't fully covered and that we could still be liable for is if there was an accident or a death on the property. He's not convinced that the parish council wouldn't be liable still, which kind of now when we asked them with the rabbit hole situation, they were very much, no, it's the village hall, they're trustees, but the actual agreement, there could be a loophole that we could be liable. So it does open to whether we should have our own public liability. It's something that we might need to just tie up. So
Isn't
he
that covered
doesn't.
by the insurance though? Public liability.
I would have thought we'd have public liability.
If we had that,
yeah.
So
insurance.
we should be if that's
So
the case.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They need to be referenced.
Possibly, but I said to him, I said, because obviously it had a new addendum added to the lease agreement back in '86, didn't it, or sometime? I said, is that a possibility that we can just, tie up? And yeah, if it's a couple of items, they call it a rider.
Yes.
That we could possibly just do
Dot
that.
the I's, cross the T's. Yeah. That's fine.
Well,
okay.
One thing we have asked for, I'm not sure whether we've still got, which is actually is at our risk, is the sight of their insurance policies.
Yes. Yeah. Fair comment.
And that could be a rider.
Yeah.
It still comes down. I think the actual agreement with the village hall committee and us is good, and the amount of years that we've got left on the lease is fine. He said you don't need to.
Yeah, I could say that's.
He said the only thing is he said back to 99 years. He said it doesn't matter when we do that. He said, but at the moment there are still another 46 years left. So he